Entertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. You're tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader on music biz talk. I am Scott, your host, a man who is dealing with all the madness of March, so to speak, trying to watch a little basketball in between work projects and stuff. Paul, are you keeping up with the tournament?
No. I got to say I'm not really into it.
And I think I was just telling you in the break. So University of California, Irvine just upset Kansas State, the number 4 seed in the entire tournament. So that's the sound of everybody's bracket in the entire country crumbling right there when UC Irvine wins. Pretty wild.
You didn't even know
stuff.
they had a basketball team.
I didn't. They're the ant eaters, I think. That's kind of an unfortunate mascot.
That's the name of the team?
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen them play or anything, but they have. I just read it in the news that they have a team, and it's very, very good. And I read an article earlier in the week, and they said that this team is one of the better teams in Southern California, and they will do well in the tournament. And I was like, okay, let's see it. And there you go. They win the first round and pull off this massive upset. You know, these first round upsets are kind of what's interesting about a one loss, a one win and you're in kind of tournament, one loss and you're gone kind of thing.
I guess a steady diet of ants is what gives them their edge.
Exactly.
It's
man.
a good source of protein.
There you go. Well, let's. You guys are smart because you're tuned into the big show today. And who am I? So I run a public relations firm called Robertson Communications. If you want to reach me ever, here's how. You can send me an email to scott@robertsoncom2ms.com or the website, which is robertsoncom.com, or social media. Twitter is @RobertsonCom, and Facebook is facebook.com/RobertsonCom. I don't really have an Instagram presence. I'm going to be working on that in the next year because I do like Instagram, but I have to figure out more interesting things to take pictures of. It probably would just be my clients' products and fun stuff like that. So.
You have to get your booty in shape before you get on Instagram.
That's right. I got to drop some weight. We got to make sure. I got to make sure it's okay.
You got to learn to make a good ducky face.
Nice, very nice. Well, you guys are smart because you're tuned in to the show, and this is episode 118 of the show, and I call it More Than Brand Awareness. So, public relations, my chosen profession of choice, there you go, is a kind of a tough thing to describe in 2019. There's been quite a blurring of marketing disciplines out there in the digital age. So, but I've noticed that some in the profession say that PR isn't just about generating sales and that kind of thing. It's about brand awareness and that kind of thing. And that is actually true, but, it was sort of a thread that happened that kind of, I'll tell that story in a minute, but really PR is much more than that. And we're going to dig into it. I'm going to educate you about exactly what you should expect from a quality PR effort. That's what my tips are going to be about in segment 3 as well. We're also going to talk about college admissions scandal a little bit and everything in the realm of winning and losing this week. So you guys tuned into a good one. This is definitely going to be another Nobel Peace Prize nominated effort that we're putting together today for you on the air at Entertalk Radio. So you've tuned into a good one. So this week, I saw a thread that came out that said, it was a PR person in one of the news groups that I follow, and they said, one of my clients is asking me, how does PR impact sales? And I'm having trouble, the PR person was having trouble communicating to the client how we impact sales. And then all the PR people in the world sort of jumped in the thread and said, well, we're not about sales, and we can't possibly be measured on that because we do something, that's so much bigger and that sort of thing. And there's so many variables that we can't control in this whole situation. So we can't really be measured on that. What we do is, and everybody sort of on the thread came to the conclusion that what you want to do is PR is about brand awareness. We're about awareness of the brand, that kind of thing. And I was just kind of waiting for somebody to chime in with something more meaty than that, because that's not how I describe public relations at all, nor has it ever been. It's not like a trendy thing and then like this is the latest thing. It's like that is leaving all the money on the table, folks. I got to say, I mean, that is not what public relations really does. So I was waiting and it didn't, and no one posted my answer. It's like an episode of like Family Feud, and like you have the number one answer, but everybody's got the ones under it that are ringing the bell. It's like what are gerbils? Bing, that kind of thing. It's like you know what I mean. So I'm going to give you that answer. And if you're in PR, you want to sharpen your pencil at this point right here and make sure you take this down. To me, obviously this is my show, it's my opinion. Public relations is about generating trust and credibility for your brand, and those two things allow people to buy from you. Okay, if you don't have trust and credibility, then all of the little last-minute things that it cause people to abandon their shopping cart online or abandon, at any point in the purchase process, they can kind of abandon it. And if they don't have trust and confidence through every part of that process, they will abandon your sale, right? So I think that PR is absolutely critical to the sale because it, again, what we really do, and no one said this. Right? Okay. I want to make sure I let you guys know that this is the absolute truth, and the vast majority of the PR industry isn't thinking about it this way. That's a big problem, by the way. Got to say, on another sort of industry education note, that's kind of a serious problem. But the trust and credibility thing is really important. Let's look at the state of trust in the world today. Okay. There's a company called Edelman that does a survey every year called the Trust Barometer. Edelman, and they have it's a public relations firm, Edelman, and what they found in their latest study was, and this made some news at the first of the year here, but the new study found that the U.S. public's trust in all institutions, including business, government, technology, has not just fallen but plummeted. Right. Huge drop in the public trust of government, in the United States. And what that probably is just, it's probably, obviously the country's, pretty divided politically, and just Congress seems to be going out of its way to do dumb stuff on a way that, in a way that where you're just looking at it and going, come on, man, this is, It happens so frequently that if I actually covered that as part of my broadcast, we would never get to anything else because there is so much stupid flowing out of Washington. It's like it's like a water slide of stupid flying out of that place on a crazy regular basis. But here's what I want to talk about when it comes to us and public relations in this is that the drop of trust in business has also plummeted. So when you're doing all those things on your marketing plan that looks like marketing, like sending out emails and doing advertising and doing these things, you can assume with 100% certainty that stuff is not believed and not trusted, right? Because marketing, hopefully not the people that listen to this program, but the larger profession of marketing lies. And they lie a lot. They don't just exaggerate and that kind of thing. They out and out, flat on, just lie, right? And then what happens is the lying's been going on for a long time. And then we as consumers, we instantly know that they're lying. And so we dial their performance claims back. Like if they say, oh, it's a 10 out of 10, then we're like, okay, that's a 4 out of 10. You know what I mean? So it's really important that we understand that the state of trust in the United States of America and really the world can easily be thought of as it's at its lowest point in human history, right? Lots of reasons for that, obviously, that we can discuss. But as a marketer, you need to know that, because what I just told you earlier is that PR is about trust and credibility. And you're not getting trust and credibility anywhere else. There isn't any other arrow that you're pulling in marketing that can deliver trust and credibility. You say, oh, I'm going to do a social post. Is that trust and credibility? Hell no. I'm going to do advertising. Does that deliver trust and credibility? Hell no. I'm going to do, I don't know. Just you can name any tactic. I'm going to do events, promotions, sponsorships, all these kind of things. Does that give me trust and credibility? No. PR does. PR absolutely does. And it is the number one silver bullet of the PR profession, is the fact that in a world that has no trust left, PR delivers it. Now, how do we do that, right? How does PR create trust and credibility? One, and this is really important, by the way, for everybody, because I think a lot of people are out there doing PR and they don't actually know why the hell they're doing it. There's a transfer, a trust transfer that takes place in public relations. Basically, we take our client's message, we get, hopefully we earn our way into stories, and we get trusted representatives of the media and analysts and influencers to go along with our version of the story, which hopefully, let's hope it's true. We always strive for that, and then they take our message to their audiences. And then there is a transfer of trust that happens at that point. And this is really critically important to understand, is that the trust that they have in the brand of the publication that they write for, or the editor themselves, or what have you, that trust of what they're saying gets transferred to your client's message. That is 100% the power of public relations right there, because public relations is a pain in the ass to do. It is very hard to do. There are so many things that can blow up at you at the last minute because you don't control anything. And if you're one of these marketing control freaks that wants to control everything, do advertising and pretend like that's going to work. It's not going to work. It's going to work in a supporting role only. Advertising used to be, the great, the kind of great giant dragon of what's going on in terms of a marketing program. But it's not anymore, because we are taught to not trust advertising. Advertising lies. Advertising exaggerates. Even on its best day, advertising is taking, something that is, a 5, and they're saying it's a 9 or a 10. And then, ironically, the audience makes their adjustment back and says, oh, you say it's a 10? Well, then I say it's a 4. You know what I mean? So, and we do that with all advertising, and we learn how to do it at a very young age. My daughter's 16 years old. She knows how to do it. She knew how to do it when she was 8. It's like we know how to do this stuff at a very young age. And the state of trust is very, very low for other things in marketing. But in public relations, it's very, very high, right? So that's why we do it. And one of the reasons I wanted to focus on this is, so if you're doing public relations and you're just focused on brand awareness, look, everybody's aware. Look how aware they are. Look how massively aware they are. Then you have left all the money on the table. You really have, because brand awareness that's great. That's cute. That's fun. But the power that we'd have is that we can change people's minds and opinions, and we can make it possible for people to buy from the company. I'm not even sure it's possible to buy something from a company that doesn't have good public relations or out there, because the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to check out the company, right? You ever do that? You got a shopping cart full of stuff, and you're like, wait a minute, let me just Google these bad boys first and see what do they have a Wikipedia page? Who's behind this company? That kind of thing. People do their due diligence on, and then in the B2B world, obviously you have a lot more hours to kill, so there's a lot more detail that goes into that due diligence that happens. Really, really important stuff. So my point is, in this entire segment, and really the show today, is that if you are simply using public relations as brand awareness, you need to start thinking about why we actually do this thing. And then you need to start, like I was talking to a colleague in the profession, and they were talking about gifting to reporters, paying for things for the reporter. And they said, Scott, under what circumstances do you think it's okay to do gifting to reporters? Like paying for their travel, or to an event or something, or giving them a nice bag or gift or something, or a bottle of champagne or something like that. Here's the thing. In PR, we're about trust and credibility, right? So it's really important that if you're going to do any kind of gifting, for example, that you want to do it within the realm of the publication's gifting guidelines, which they all have. They will tell you what's permissible and what's not. And then you want to do it with full disclosure to the audience. You want to make sure the reporter discloses exactly what they got from you. If it's a review thing, sometimes we provide, manufacturers will provide review products to editors. And according to the FTC guidelines, anything that's published as a blog or those kind of things, that you have to disclose those things. Like, I got such and such product for free in exchange for, giving me the opportunity to try it out. And, sometimes they send it back. Sometimes they don't. It sort of depends. It depends on the value of the product, and whether the value of the product exceeds the shipping cost to send it back. Because if they're evaluating a product that costs $50 and it's going to cost us $30 to ship it both ways or whatever, then it's a wash. So you got to kind of have your business hat on a little bit too. But the reason that we want people to disclose things like that is that we want the publication to be credible under any circumstances. We must preserve and want to preserve their credibility. We don't want to do anything that puts that in risk, because that's the reason why we're talking to them. And I make that very clear. I'm like, we want your credibility, and that's why we're talking, right? We could build our own audience, and then people wouldn't believe us, on our own channels and that kind of stuff, but we're using different messengers because we know that trust is awful in the United States of America today. And we know that it's not getting any better. It's just getting worse. And we know that the number one, like I said, silver bullet in our gun is the fact that we can transfer some of that trust and credibility to the brands that we represent. That's why we're more than brand awareness, folks. And you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and losing this week. Who?
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody, it is Friday, and you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk, and I'm here with Paul B. I'm Scott, and got Paul B. in the studio. How's it going, Paul?
Pretty good. Hanging in there. It's Friday. It's good.
It's good. What do you think about brand awareness? What do you think about trust and credibility versus brand awareness? Brand awareness.
I mean, I'm aware of the brand called Monsanto, or like you were talking at break, aspartame. I'm aware of the brand.
There you go. Talk about that.
Wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. So the two don't necessarily go hand in hand.
Exactly. That was my point.
The Nazis had a great brand. Everybody's aware of that. The logo is great. One of the most long-lived logos of all time.
Jeez.
The trust, not so much.
FCC's going to shut this thing down before we get done with it. Well, okay, let's dig into winning and losing real quick. So I wanted to start off with the college admissions scandal with Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman and everybody else, and that whole thing. Here's the element that I want to talk about. So obviously, it's a big story. There's a woman in Oakland that filed a $500 billion lawsuit. A $500 billion lawsuit because her son had a 4.2 grade point average and didn't get into one of those schools. Wow, $500 billion class action suit. And, to me, it was like Dr. Evil filing a lawsuit. And he said, okay, we're going to file a lawsuit. It's going to be $500 billion.
Oh, my God. That's exactly the image that I had in my head before you said it.
$500 quadrillion I am owed because my child did not get into college. Yeah. Anyway, so that's not the element I want to talk about. Here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what PR had to say about the scandal. And again, it just made me, I was like, God bless America. So they did this story and it said PR crisis gurus speak out about what these folks should do that are implicated in this scandal. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, so basically the advice was, and I'm not making this up, the advice were these things: hide out until hide out until it blows over, so wait a couple weeks and then just resurface. Another one was, hope that somebody bigger than you gets implicated in the scandal. Hope that somebody, bigger than you gets implicated in the scandal, and then that takes the attention off of you. And the other one was, follow all the advice, that your lawyers are saying, and don't say anything that's going to incriminate you, in public and this kind of thing. And I'm just sitting here as a public relations practitioner, and I'm just going, well, our best advice as a profession is to hide. That's our advice. Our best counsel to you is, you really screwed up, and our best strategic advice for you is going to be go on vacation, try to hide, change your appearance, those kind of things. That flies in the face of everything that public relations is supposed to do. We, there's a code of ethics from the PRSA, and the code of ethics basically says that we are supposed to defend the public trust. Do everything we can do to defend the public trust, and that means to tell the truth, right? And giving your clients advice to lie and hide and all those kind of things is firmly against the public trust. In my opinion, I read it that way. And people ask me, what would you do if you had a client like this? The truth is always what you do in a crisis. The truth is always what you do, And it's not about, at that point, because the only way that you're going to preserve any shred of your reputation is if you get your side of the story out there, and explain it. And I understand, I know there's lawyers out there that are going to disagree, and there's lawyers out there that are going to say, well, my God, we can't lose in the small courtroom, and we can't do this. It's like, I would not allow one of my clients to be crucified in the big courtroom of public opinion while the lawyers were figuring out the little courtroom. Surely there is a compromise that can be made between the lawyers and the PR people that says, well, then let's say this. Let's what can we say that is the truth, and hopefully, in line with what our defense is going to be, and not hiding on a beach somewhere and hoping that somebody doesn't find you. It bothers me. It bothers me. That's not good public relations counsel. And if you're one of the people out there that gave that counsel, you suck at what you do, and you shouldn't be given public relations counsel ever. And I said it. So I'm just saying that's awful advice, malpractice level awful advice. And I've heard people in crisis communications say that stuff before. If you're getting that kind of counsel, man, call me. The way that you get through a public relations crisis is you tell the truth. You tell the truth. You don't have revisionist history coming in. You don't have various versions of the truth. You figure out the truth. You don't say anything until you know it. But once you know it, you deliver it like a damn sledgehammer, okay? And then you take the consequences that are going to happen. And then you keep telling the truth when people try to twist it and turn it a bunch of different ways, right? I don't know. Call me a dreamer. That's how I've always handled crisis communications, and it's worked pretty well so far. So I certainly am not telling my clients, you know what you should do? The Bahamas, that's a great place to go right now. You want to make sure you're there and make sure you're not in an area that has any Wi-Fi. It's like, it's awful. Let's keep going. So losing, college admissions, PR profession and college admissions, losing. A son, his tweet about a dad's empty donut shop. I really like the story. So a donut shop opened up in Texas, in Missouri City, Texas. That's not confusing at all, by the way. Billy's Donut Shop opened very recently, and the first day was a flop, right? Nobody showed up. It's a small business. It's retail, that kind of thing. But the son tweeted, and it's so cute. It says, "My dad is sad because no one is coming to his new donut shop." And then he shared a photo of his dad behind the counter of the new donut shop. And then a strange thing happened, right? The second day was much different. That people were lined up out the door. Donuts were flying off the shelves. The tweet received more than 300,000 retweets, which came from the Twitter's main account. Word about the donut shop is spreading quickly. And then, it was, some Twitter employees came by and they paid a visit to the donut shop, and they published on Twitter for that. Really, really cool. You know what's cool about this to me is the fact of just how real it is, right? If you orchestrated something in a conference room and said, well, we're going to create something viral and it's going to get 300,000 retweets and it's going to be this kind of thing, you wouldn't be able to do that. But this very natural, very real outpouring of support that comes, and sort of emotion that kind of comes from a son basically saying, my dad's donut shop, I wish it was doing better, that kind of thing. That's powerful. That is powerful. And that doesn't mean that you want to try to recreate that for brands that you're working on. It's just stuff that you want to notice and say, real moments like that, can be extremely powerful, even in the social media world. And I say that whole thing is winning. All that. If you want to read more about that, by the way, CBS News covered it. Lots of people covered the story, but it's a great story. So love that one. Some interesting things going on with the teens. You know, we're all marketers that listen to this, so it's important to know about what's going on with teens. And social media use is linked to a very steep rise in mental health disorders in the teens. So basically, you're seeing a 52% increase in depression symptoms from teenagers today, right? And that's huge. That is massively huge. And they link that to they point to a lack of sleep along with the rise of social media. But now kind of culturally, you know, obviously we need to pay attention to this. We need to pay attention that this great thing we've created, social media and all this kind of things, does have a bit of a downside for our teens. Apparently, that's a huge increase in those in those numbers, and you have to definitely pay attention to that. As a marketer, what you need to understand is that you need to be sort of looking at your social media strategy and saying, I don't know, is there anything that we're doing in here that, you know, is contributing to this, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, that's what somebody would do that is, hopefully responsible. Another interesting report that came out that just that kind of goes along with this is that basically from Cambridge University, it says that even though the law deems a person an adult when they turn 18, as a lot of people know who, you know, study, you know, neuroscience and that kind of thing, the brain doesn't fully mature till about age 30, and at the earliest, according to this. I've always heard 26, but let's just say 30 for the purposes of this. So people don't become fully formed, quote unquote, adults until their 30s. Basically, the lead researcher says we don't move from childhood right into adulthood. There's a trajectory that kind of lingers between the two stages. And they say that some people may advance faster than others, but don't put, you know, that kind of thing. Interesting, right? Interesting, especially as a marketer, if you're targeting people in these areas and you're sort of counting on their adultness and to be able to kind of make those decisions. Not so fast, according to Cambridge University. If you want to check out that study, it's at abc7.com today or yesterday, just around that time frame. So kind of interesting story. You know, Burger King is, winning this week because they will give you a free Whopper if you set their competitors' ads on fire. Oh, yes, very nice. This is in Brazil. It's a app that adds an AR function that invites customers to burn down competitors' advertising. Thank God they're not actually burning things down. You know, Brazil, man, you never know. But they're basically saying, you train the cameras on a billboard for like McDonald's, for example, the app will kind of virtually set it on fire. And then they'll give you a voucher for a free Whopper. So kind of an interesting idea, right? A good, interesting implementation and idea of how to use, augmented reality, functionality in advertising. It's kind of fun. I think it's winning. I mean, I wonder if they're going to do it in the United States or not. Burger King's always, sort of nipping it at McDonald's heels. And McDonald's is always kind of like, yeah, whatever, kid, get out of here. You bother me, get out of here. But it's kind of interesting. Wendy's is in there too, always trying to be snarky on social media. And, McDonald's doesn't ever respond to that stuff either. So kind of interesting. Winning, I would say. Let's see. Google's losing. They were just fined $1.7 billion for violating the EU's antitrust laws. So the top competition regulators in Europe this week fined Google $1.7 billion, saying that Google abused its position in the market when its third-party websites used its AdSense for a search product. Kind of interesting. So this is the third and latest charge this commission has brought against the Silicon Valley giant, the unit of Alphabet. They've actually been hit with $9.4 billion in fines in antitrust regulations within the past 2 years. So that's kind of interesting. That's an ad week this week. We are going to talk, so this is about antitrust, but Google's also on the hook for violating GDPR standards and things like that for privacy. And next week's show, we're going to have Lillian Lee, a top privacy attorney. She's going to be on talking privacy. We're going to talk about sort of the three-legged stool that needs to exist in modern companies between legal, marketing, and actually between IT as well. So IT, legal, and marketing sort of forming that important three-legged stool that is going to be necessary to communicate effectively, especially once the United States creates its own version of GDPR, and California already has a California Data Privacy Initiative. She's going to tell us all about that, the latest stuff in that, and we're going to talk with Lillian. So don't miss next week's show. That's going to be a lot of fun. For right now, Google's losing. They're losing literally $1.7 billion and probably more to come. You know who else is losing is the advertising industry, because we just learned that 47% of consumers are blocking ads. Basically, what motivates consumers to block ads are there's too many of them. The ads are annoying or irrelevant. They're too intrusive. They contain viruses or bugs. That's a good one. That's a good way to end your relationship forever right there. Or they do not want the ads personalized. Really important stuff to pay attention to right here. This pushback against personalization, because marketing's like, oh, we can personalize and create content just for you. Consumers find that stuff creepy, right? We find that stuff creepy. When Facebook is using all of the information that you plug in about your interests and hobbies and that stuff, and they're selling it so that people like that can sell you more stuff, on some level, you're like, yeah, this stuff's going to be really targeted for me. But it's impossible to overturn the, oh my God, that's creepy factor that happens when you find that ads are being custom made for you, right? We don't want, as consumers, we don't want advertisers to have that much information about us. And you should watch this because, you think love's a battlefield? Well, get ready for privacy, baby, because, consumers do not want this. They do not want this. They've said this. And what business are we in? We're in the relationship business, and the relationship business pays attention to the relationship, right? Not the tactics. This is going to change digital advertising quite a bit, this whole thing going on. I encourage you to check more about that story. It's in Forbes.com this week. 47% of consumers blocking ads. Kind of interesting. Disney acquired 21st Century Fox this week, and it's been kind of fun to watch, some of their intellectual property, bouts go on in social media. So basically, there's a story on CNET today or yesterday that basically says that Thor welcomes Deadpool to the Marvel family. So Deadpool's a Fox property, Thor is a Disney property, but they all kind of come from Marvel Comics. There you go, geeking out there. So, but it's kind of funny what actor Chris Hemsworth did. He basically sent a little graphic that basically said, welcome to the family, Thor, and has Deadpool holding a little miniature version of his hammer and that kind of thing. And he basically says, our love child. So anyway, I thought that was definitely worth winning. And I like the fact that that both kind of Disney and Fox can get their celebrity, their big celebrities involved to, at a level that's like, hey, it's kind of playful. It's kind of playful. Ryan Reynolds does a great job with Deadpool. We've talked about it multiple times in terms of creating that, just really playing to the people that love that character. And he's just done such a fantastic job with it all this whole time. And of course, he posted some kind of snarky image of Deadpool wearing Mickey Mouse ears, riding a yellow school bus that said, and the caption was, feels like the first day of pool. So I thought that was pretty funny too. So they're definitely winning, and Disney's winning because they control all the properties in the world now. And you're winning because you're listening to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media. Come on back, and I'm gonna give you some tips to get your PR firing on all cylinders. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio to sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. You are still tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk, the undisputed leader in music biz talk, and I am Scott, your host. Paul's with me in the booth. We're talking about winning and losing last segment. Paul, what jumped out at you this week? What'd you like?
Well, the college admissions thing is fun. That's
wow,
super surprising that rich and powerful, influential people cheat their kids' way into college. That's I've never in a million year dreamed that something like that would happen.
Can you believe that advice though?
Oh,
from
yeah.
PR gurus? That makes
go away for a while.
Yeah. Just disappear for a while. Like that's your counsel. That's what you said, and you went to school for that. That's the counsel. I mean, I was stunned, man. I couldn't.
I mean, you got to give them credit. In a lot of cases, that's better advice than trying to say something asinine like you see a lot of companies doing, and when they make things worse.
That's true. The NFL should go on vacation for a long time. The NFL steps in it on such a regular basis. It's not even funny. That's why the commissioner gets booed every single time he goes out to the draft. In any city, the commissioner in the NFL he comes out to the mic and then there's just a rain of boos that comes at the commissioner every time he speaks anywhere. It's just like, you know why you're hated? You know why you're hated? Because you say stupid stuff.
You got to give him props. It keeps going back out there. You got to keep trying.
Yeah, exactly, man. But I just couldn't believe that was the advice. I mean, it's just like that would be the last bit of advice that I would ever give. There's no way I give that as advice to my clients ever. There's no way that works out. There's no way that works out. Oh man,
well, that's
fun.
That's why you got the radio show. You're the expert.
There you go. We'll use that as our explanation for now, I guess. Well, cool. Let's dig into. So here on segment 3, I'd like to give you guys some tips. So here's a few tips to get your PR delivering. Now, again, just to recap for everybody, early on, we talked about PR is what? It's not just brand awareness, right? It's about trust. It's about credibility. It's about those two very important things that you must have in today's climate in order to sell anything. That's the one thing that, you need to understand is that if you don't have trust and credibility, you're not going to sell very much to anybody. Because you need to understand how people really purchase things. And people want to buy things. We're consumers. We want to buy things. But you have to eliminate risk. Right? And you eliminate risk by building trust. And you build trust usually by having somebody other than yourself say the same things that you're saying and sort of agree with you. Not to put too fine a point on it. That's sort of how it works. So here are a few of my tips, to get yours, delivering. Number one, know your story. Know your, from a PR perspective, you got to know, what is our story? What do we have to offer? In terms of data, in terms of experts, in terms of expertise, in terms of, what is our contribution going to be to this? Is our stuff good? Is it interesting? Is it valuable? If the answer to any of those questions is, we're not really sure, then go back and start sharpening that stuff up. Because again, you're only going to get, like one chance with an editor to put your very best foot forward. And you certainly don't want to do that, with some kind of half-baked idea or pitch or something like that. You definitely do not want. You don't want stuff to come out that has like a bunch of brand buzzwords and has a bunch of BS in it, because editors sort of immediately roll their eyes and they're hit and delete on your pitch, before they even get past the subject headline. They're like, this is worthless. And then, and that's not good, right? So that's why you got to really know your story. You got to understand, kind of what it is that you do and what are you offering and that sort of thing. Very, very important and overlooked stuff. In fact, you go into PR meetings and people are already saying, well, we want to be in the Wall Street Journal and we want to be in Time Magazine and we want to be on these kind of things. And I'm like, how do you know? I mean, have you really thought through what it is, what your story really is, and then match that with, analytically with which publications are going to be the best fit for that, and which, where's the fit going to be? So that brings me to tip number 2, the earned part. In public relations, we talk about that being earned media. The earned part is all of the analytical research that we do and the creation of perfect customized pitches that can't be resisted by editors, right? The best PR people that I know are like digital private investigators or digital stalkers. And we spend the lion's share of our time stalking editors. We spend the lion's share of our time reading not just what they wrote today, but what have they written over the past year? Because if you read the writings of somebody, that if they write, every week or whatever, and you read it over the past year, you're going to get a pretty good idea of their patterns. What stuff do they like? What stuff do they cover? When do they, when do they cover different things? You can really start to develop, quite a bit of, sort of pattern-based analytical research, just by reading the stuff that people write, right? It takes a lot of time. That's why when people say, Scott, it looks like this PR stuff, it takes a lot of time. Very little of that time is pitching editors. It really isn't. The majority of the time that we spend is analyzing what editors write so we can pitch the right editors and have the right pitch, the perfect pitch for them, right? Very, very, very important to know that. That's why we call it earned media, is that you're earning it. It's not free. You're not paying for the space, but you're putting in the time. You're certainly putting in the time that is going to take to create those pitches. And there's nothing better that when you work hard and you create a great pitch like that, and an editor bounces back and says, "Yeah, I love this. Let's go." I mean, that is as exciting to me as a full crowd full of people, and they're like, "Yeah, play Sweet Home Alabama for the 100 millionth time," in your band or whatever. I mean, it's like, it is such a rush to be able to do that, to be able to kind of, I don't know. It's just, you feel the payoff for your efforts, in that. And that's why, if you're a younger PR person out there and you're just sending out the same pitch to every journalist, and you just have a big list of journalists that you pulled out of a database, and you're sending the same pitch and praying, kind of the spray and pray method, that's not ever going to work out, because journalists get a bazillion pitches, a day, and they tend to like stuff that is already in accordance with stuff that they like to write, the way that they like to write things, the way that they like to, have things pitched to them. And the only way that there's no shortcuts to that. There's no software out there that can shortcut that. That is you in front of a screen stalking them and learning everything that you can about them, and that's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing. So, tip number 3, relationships in PR are key, but not in the way that everybody thinks. Everybody says, oh, Scott, you have a lot of great relationships with people, and so you can just pick up the phone and you can call USA Today and they'll run something. Hell no. That is not true at all. Yes, I have a lot of friends in the media. Over my 30-year career, I have a lot of friends that are journalists. I started out with a journalistic background myself. I think that's always given me a bit of an advantage in everything that I've pitched throughout the course of my career. But the relationships that I have with reporters, and I don't care if they come over and we jam together or they come see my band or anything else, they have a job to do, right? They have a job to do, a beat to handle for whatever publication they're doing. They have work-related requirements that are based and they build that around the stuff that they need for their job. The chances that maybe I have something that's great for them, and it's great when that kind of stuff works out. But you as a business owner don't want to put all of your faith in the fact that I might happen to know somebody at the publication that might happen to be great for your business, and that might happen to be a good thing. Hell no. What you want to do instead is you want to be able to build a pitch for any journalist, that is the right pitch for the business, so that when the coverage appears, it is strategic and it delivers the trust and credibility transfer that we're talking about, and public relations does its little magical thing for you. But maybe I can't do that if I'm just relying on people I know, Now, sometimes, there are some happy coincidences, in the world, and certainly we love that. But as a PR person, relationships are key with every journalist that you're going to encounter, not just your quote-unquote friends or and that kind of thing. That's why you always want to return phone calls and emails promptly. They have deadlines, man. They have deadlines. They're pressed to do a harder job than ever before. They have pressure coming out there from all sides. So you want to make sure that if you're going to be an overpaid editorial assistant, which is what PR people are, then you want to make damn sure that you're returning their calls and their emails promptly, and you're being the best assistant that you can be. You want to be accessible. You want to provide exceptional service, right? You want to make sure that you, people ask me what my tagline means a lot in my company when I say, may the best brand win. What I mean by that is whoever makes it easiest, by best, I mean whoever makes it easiest for a journalist wins. If there's two competing PR people, and one person, the CEO, we can't reach the CEO. We don't have, we don't have our data together. We don't have images for that. We don't have that. And I have all that stuff together. I win. I get in that story, and you don't. Okay, so or I don't care if you do or not because I'm already in. Right. That's what I mean by my tagline. I mean whoever does the job best wins. Okay, so I try to do the job best. That the very best that's possible, so that my clients have the best chance of winning. Okay, and that again, that's how you pay attention to those relationships. And journalists appreciate it when you do extra things for them, like make sure that they, you're thinking it through, and maybe they'd like a choice of images, and maybe they don't have to pester you for images. Maybe you're thinking 2 steps ahead and saying, would they like some video with the story? Do we have any video? What assets do we have that we can make available to them that's going to make their job easier and make them a rock star? If you can make journalists, rock stars, you're going to be in great shape in terms of public relations. That's the importance of relationships. That's why they're key. That's why you got to pay attention to them. Tip number 4, measure PR correctly. And this gets back to the brand awareness thing. If you are measuring PR by brand awareness, you are so at the surface level, I can't even begin to tell you. That is not what public relations does. So you don't want to measure something it doesn't do. You want to find ways and figure out, ask yourself this question: does our audience trust us? And how do we know? Do they trust us? And how do we know? Do we have evidence that proves that they trust us? Sales can be an indicator of trust. What do you need for sales? You need trust. So if they are buying from us, you can be darn sure that they trust us. Okay? They certainly at least trust us at the beginning. It's something you want to monitor over time. I'm a big believer in this in terms of public relations. If you can orchestrate, ongoing dialogue with customer service and various aspects of your clients' organizations or the organizations that you're working with, and you can find out and get some kind of a barometer, almost like Edelman does, about trust, find out if they trust you. And then if you see that they don't for some reason, a negative report comes out, this kind of thing, if you start to kind of lose that trust, then you can do things to sort of build that back up. But make sure that you're measuring the right metric. And I know so many PR people that just measure awareness or measure, hey, we reached, let's all high five, we reached 1 million people this month and that kind of thing, and woo, high five and that kind of thing. And that's important. It's important to know how many people you reach. But it's not the full equation. The full equation is, did the efforts, when we reached those 1 million people, did we do something meaningful for the business in terms of getting that kind of trust and credibility transfer from the journalistic outlet to the consumer? Did we make that little magic trick happen? And and I understand it can be expensive to measure, but fight for that. Fight for that, because that's really what the work is about. The work is certainly not just about brand awareness and that kind of thing. It's about trust. It's about credibility. So make sure that you are finding some way to measure those kind of things. And my last tip is be ready to adapt to the changes. One of the coolest things about PR to me is the fact that we try to find the most creative and different ways to get our message out there, and try to deliver back the trust and credibility. But be ready to adapt to some of those changes. A lot of things hit the PR profession, and they still don't know how to react. Like who owns? You see this conversation go on when you're talking about like paid, earned, shared, and owned content. You're like, well, at what point of the organization, who owns which aspect of the various content? That kind of thing. Well, PR is in a really good leadership position to own, certainly to own the earned side and the owned side and probably the shared side. The paid side, we know what that is. That's advertising. You want to have advertising expertise executing paid strategies. Public relations expertise is not in buying stuff. It's not. That's not how we came up. That is not. It's not even how we're used to. I don't know a single person that leans on PR that is really, really good at advertising. And we're one of the first people in the world one of the first people that in organization to sort of be like, well, yeah, advertising can play a supporting role out there, but if we're really going to change minds, if we're really going to do something powerful, then we need to make sure we've got that earned piece really happening for us. And it's not done enough in companies. They just kind of walk around. They have a marketing plan that is sort of a tactical checklist of stuff to do, and they go, oh, this is our marketing plan. And then it's like it never answers the question, well, what are you trying to do? So anyway, 5th tip, be ready to adapt to those changes. So what have we learned today, folks? We learned that the star of the marketing show in the trust-free world of today really must be public relations. We are so much more than simple brand awareness. We do something that simply cannot be done in any other way. We systematically and sort of analytically earn trust and credibility for brands, which can lead and bring about sales and growth and all of the great stuff. And, maybe, if we do it this way, marketing doesn't have to be this awful, terrible thing after all in the future. But that's it for me, folks. Until next week, this has been Scott Robertson for May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media. Come on back next week. We're going to talk data privacy. It's going to be fun. We'll see ya. Bye. You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Entertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?